What's going on YouTube? JT is Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Batman issue number 163. That's right, Batman Hush 2 Part 6 is finally out 6 months later. My goodness, what a delay. I mean, this is kind of weird because I'm talking to the Fraction Batman book, and I'm also talking about the Rebirth Batman book, and we're jumping ahead to like 163, but then your issue, like whatever's out with the other volume or whatever. It's just been kind of a messy release with this book, and I do understand that Jim Lee has gone through some various health issues, and my condolences there. I hope he gets well and makes a full recovery. But I think they probably, in retrospective, should have just finished drawing most of the book beforehand, before announcing its release and just kind of throwing this whole thing into a mess. Because it's been 6 months. That is kind of crazy. And if Jim Lee isn't well enough, I mean, maybe just let him finish the 6 and then maybe get somebody else for the second half of it. Now, you want to see Jim Lee drawing more stuff. He's a fantastic artist. This is an incredibly drawn comic book from start to finish. I love the art style in this thing, but if he's health-wise not in the best place, then maybe it's best to kind of have somebody else out there to kind of like, take over if, he's not feeling well enough. I mean, Jim Lee's a busy guy. He's got all this stuff DC-wise. So, I mean, yeah, you wouldn't have the same art style that Jim Lee does, which he's, an amazing artist, but at least you get something kind of out there instead of these really disjointed delays. So I feel like DC's really mishandled the release of Hush 2. And some of it, like I said, I understand for health reasons, but other aspects, it's like, well, if he's not well enough to do this, then maybe somebody else should take over drawing for it if he just can't really do it anymore. You know what I'm saying? But with that being said, how is the story of this thing? The way the storyline's been written, it feels kind of out of place in terms of the continuity in a lot of ways. This really should have just been a standalone thing outside of it. I think that probably would have been the best way to it, but they had in the main Batman book. This is supposed to be the conclusion to this Rebirth Batman run in a way, because now we're in the Fraction era stuff. And this is it. This is the final issue. I've been reading this book since it started in like 2016, which is wild to think we've gone 10 years of this entire run. But alas, we're at the end of this thing. But then Hush 2 is going to be picked back up in another like comic book and some like part 2 thing. I don't know. It's a messy release thing. Like I said, it should have just been a standalone thing on its own outside of the mainline Batman book, and I think that would have gone over a little bit better. But yeah, so I didn't reread the issues beforehand, but basically Bat Family in tension with Batman. Jason Todd's teaming up with Hush, and we're going through like similar beats that we've kind of done before with the characters, where it's like he saves the Joker, but then Jason's against him, because it feels like, okay, it's writing this right after the original Hush, not long after, but a lot of stuff has happened within continuity that makes it feel off and kind of out of place in terms of like the characterizations of everyone. So yeah, Batman's there. He confronts various members of his rogues gallery who are really against Hush, because Hush kind of screwed them over, did some stuff, which, that's Hush. He's a bad guy. And then of course you have the Bat Family members kind of facing off against each other. Selina and Babs have some tension with one another. They see Batman down in like the sewer here, and they're getting ready to fight him. But it turns out it's not actually him. It really is just kind of Clayface. And, the villains are trying to use Batman as bait to lure out Hush, but then Hush is kind of just there already. You have Sadiq and you have Jason Todd, and, Bane tries to fight them, and Bane is kind of just taken out of commission pretty quickly, while the other villains just sort of stand around and don't really do anything else for the rest of the issue. It's kind of dumb in a lot of ways, but yeah, so Batman and Jason fight. He talks about how you can be a hero too. Again, stuff we've already kind of seen with Jason Todd numerous times. Now, I remember this was originally supposed to lead into that Red Hood comic book, but that got canned right away after like the first issue, and basically DC pulled a Men in Black neuralizer and just kind of like wiped everyone's memory from it. Like, hey, this didn't really happen. But Bruce is trying to be there for Jason. Hush stabs and legit kills Batman. Batman does indeed die in the final issue of like the DC Rebirth thing, but because we already got the Fraction thing, it kind of negates a lot of the stakes. And also Talia comes in out of nowhere, of course, and she shoots Hush like right in the head. I don't think that either she killed him or he's just out of commission or something along the lines of that. Jason's like, you killed him, and I guess he killed him in that case. Yeah, but maybe he'll come back or something like that, which probably, because this is Batman Hush 2, and 6 issues in, you're just going to kill off Hush, or maybe it's an imposter or something. Maybe it's Shush. I don't know, whatever. But Sadiq is kind of taken out by Ubu. Talia takes Batman away. Now the rest of the Bat family isn't around to see this, but she takes him all the way to, like, you know, one of the Lazarus pits and drops him in there to kind of save his life and bring him back. And they share a kiss, which I'm generally kind of surprised because Bruce and Talia haven't really been a thing for a while, and you don't really get these types of moments anymore. But yeah, it's a nice moment right there. It's not something I would have expected with Talia al Ghul in, you know, modern DC Comics all that much. Well, I mean, I guess they did it in the Ram V stuff, and then they kind of had some stuff under Williamson. But Bruce is just kind of all over the place, and it's nice to see Talia's characterization done a lot better. That's the one justifiable thing I can say about, like, the Hush 2 thing, is I like the writing for Talia a lot more than a lot of modern Talia that we've gotten and stuff. And the fact that she brings him back, maybe there's some other mystery going on with this whole Hush 2 thing and some of the other characters and all that. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I will say, like I said, Jim Lee's artwork is absolutely fantastic from start to finish. I mean, this is a beautifully drawn comic book. The story has been pretty, like, all over the place since the beginning of this whole Hush 2 thing, and I guess I'll have to cover the rest of it when it eventually does release, like probably like a year or two from now. They'll probably drop like the next issue of it. I don't even know when it's supposed to release, so we're just kind of left on this sort of like lingering note and without really any like idea of when this thing will continue. And again, I think if Jim Lee's not well enough to do it, then you might as well have somebody else who's a very talented artist perhaps mimic his style, or, you know, just, you know, take over like drawing for the book. That's what I would say, since, you know, this kind of reminds me of the delays of Doomsday Clock. Remember that thing, which was a really good book. I really like Doomsday Clock, but because Jeph Johns took so freaking long and they took so long to draw the thing, and the release date was so disjointed and messy, it just kind of killed all momentum in it, and they just had to move on with stuff. So why this is why a lot of like DC stuff, I mean, you know, they should have learned from that in a way. And, you know, when doing this, like, have most of it already done. And especially if it's a big mini-series event thing like that, if you don't have the artist who can get the thing done fast enough, don't announce the release date like, oh, we're gonna do it monthly, and then by monthly, or it's gonna be delayed this many months, and it kills the momentum of things. And that's what happened with Hush 2. I mean, maybe if I read them all back to back, it'll be a little bit better, but you'd still have the characterization that feels off because it's being written as if it just like is a direct follow-up to the sequel. But so much stuff has happened since then, and characters have gone through different story arcs and all that, and it just doesn't feel in line with things. And now if this were a standalone Elseworlds thing, then okay, it's doing its own thing, but this is taking place in the main Rebirth Batman book. So, you know, we're supposed to be following along that continuity. It's not like a standalone storyline outside of it, miniseries sort of thing. It was in the main Rebirth Batman book that went on from 2016 up until, well, last week or whatever. So it's like I said, it has kind of that off-putting feeling to it. But, I mean, in terms of the issues, this is the one I probably like the most of it. Like I said, Jim Lee's artwork is really fantastic. I wasn't a fan of every bit of characterizations. I like Talia's a little bit more, and how, you know, you see your love and appreciation for Batman, and her main concern is just kind of getting him back on his feet. But what will the ramifications be of him being brought back via the Lazarus Pit, and where's their relationship going to end up? Well, now, obviously, Wayne Manor, that's destroyed in the main Fraction book, and, you know, we don't know when this thing's going to, like, fall up or anything, and Talia hasn't appeared in that at all, so we'll see what DC does with her character and all that, too. And now, like, what's going to happen if Damian sees this stuff? Well, with, you know, his dad, like, having been shot and then coming back, brought back to life, with, you know, Talia and Bruce and all that, too, only time will tell. And also, like, what the hell happened with the villains up against Hush? Like, why did they just kind of up and vanish during the firefight? Bane gets taken out, but then everybody else is just kind of, like, not there anymore. But, you know, Jason's like, you killed him, how could you do this to me, and I need him, or whatever, stupid shit like that. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, this storyline's been a little bit messy and disjointed, but all things considered, it was, I guess, one of the better issues of this run. And, yeah, that's it. That's the Rebirth Batman run. Hard to believe we're at the end, 163 issues, well, plus some annuals in that, so let's add, like, well, like, how many annuals is that? Well, let's just say we got up to, like, at least 170 issues, like, total of this, like, whole comic book thing. And, yeah, it was an interesting beast. I don't think there was any, like, really good, strong, consistent run from start to finish, because you went from Tom King, then you went to James Tynion after that, and that was better than Tom King's run, because King took up, like, 85 issues or something like that, and, you know, they killed Alfred and all that, but that was not good. That was definitely, like, really bad. Tynion's was definitely better, and I can't remember for how long he went on covering the book, because I know I covered a lot of his stuff. I think it was, like, Fear State and all that, and then I think we got Williamson very briefly, and then I think maybe a few guest writers or something like that, and then Chip Zdarsky took over, and that wasn't very good. And then we moved on to like this whole Hush 2 thing, which has been delayed consistently for like many days or like months, years, and everything. So who knows what's going to happen next with it. It's just you know, been kind of a little bit of a messy conclusion to it. But yeah, who would have thought that at the start of this thing and where it ended, it would end on the moment between, you know, Bruce and Talia and Batman dying and being brought back to life and everything along the lines of that. So, but anyways, that's all I really have to say about this particular issue. The Rebirth Batman run, maybe there's a few highlights in there, but I think overall it wasn't really like a big major success, I think, for the characters and, you know, Batman in general. I think we could have done a whole hell of a lot better, but that's just me. What did you all think of this issue? Do you think the delays have killed this momentum of this book? I think it definitely killed the momentum of it. Do you think somebody else should just take over drawing since Jim Lee's been having some health issues? And, you know, like I said, I want to see him like make a speedy recovery. I know he's got a lot of other stuff he's got to focus on. And I would like, under different circumstances, I would love for him to draw everything in it because he is a fantastic artist. But, you know, when you're working on something like this and we've already kind of moved on with the other like main Batman title with Fraction taking over, it just doesn't feel right. It's weird to have like these two main ongoing Batman books that are supposed to be like follow-ups with each other, and then, oh, we're going to issue 10, and then we're issued like 163. Like the release date of it's so disjointed and messy. It could be done a whole hell of a lot better is all I'm saying. But anyways, I've rambled on long enough. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, hit that bell for notifications, all that other fun stuff. I got a few other DC books I need to get to covering, but I want to get this one out there because, well, it's the conclusion to something I've been talking about for very many years. So, yeah, hard to believe we're at the end of this one. So, but a new day is upon us. So, anyways, thanks so much for watching. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.